Hey everybody, it's me, AV to the seventh power. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things law, true crime, a little bit of political debauchery. In the words of Little Woody, what you mean? Little Woody has been one of the most difficult witnesses ever. Because of his shenanigans, the court has kind of stepped it up. Keep in mind that Little Woody is the prosecution's star witness. If he is not going to be cooperative, then we are now forced to do what we've seen in court this week. Because Little Woody is not providing the information that the prosecution needs, they now have to start looking at prior testimony to combat the prior inconsistent statements that he's made on the stand. In order to do that, we're now looking at his interviews with detectives. This past Monday, we saw two of them. We saw two of the interviews from beginning to end. Now, there is a defense attorney, Attorney Sharp, who wants to bring in a third interview. The other thing that's happening is the interviews are coming in and the transcripts from the interviews are coming in. Because they are coming in, we now need to redact certain pieces of them. So on Tuesday was a little bit of a slower trial day because both sides need to look at what pieces of evidence are coming in, what's redacted, and what's not. While all of this was taking place, the jury was not in the courtroom. Neither was our witness, Little Woody. Instead, he was doing this.
21, don't play.
The other really big thing that I forgot to know that we saw this past Monday was two motions before Judge Glanville. One was a motion for him to recuse himself, and that came in late Monday evening, and it was filed by attorney Brian Steele. Brian had some excellent arguments that were included in the motion. And within that motion, we also had to see whether or not the judge was going to choose to recuse himself. And guess what? That motion was denied. The second motion was a motion to quash. This is filed by attorney Bumpus. Now, that motion was also denied. But what that motion did do is it revealed what actually took place in the secret meeting. She also revealed that the meeting was never confidential. So what can we expect next? Well, today in court, the jury is not back. They are still looking at evidence to see if this evidence is coming in. However, I thought it was interesting because someone's name came up in the proceedings today, and that was Rich Homie Quan.
At all. He's talking about a conversation that he had with Rich Homie Quan about this $25,000, which has nothing to do with the issue at hand in this case, which is who killed Donovan Thomas.
Well, not necessarily. If he's got another version of who may have done what, that's impeachment by contradiction or just straight out impeachment.
But this isn't a version of who killed Donovan Thomas. What they're talking about is who killed.
It doesn't make a difference if he's telling materially different versions of what happened. That potentially is he can be impeached on that.
When you say what happened,
what happened, or how he came to find this information. I mean, if he's given the police different versions of what may have happened.
When you say what may have happened, because what he's talking
what may have happened, what he told them.
But when you say what may have happened, Your Honor, in this portion, he is not talking about the murder of Donovan Thomas. He is talking about Rich Homie Quan's father was shot at in September of 2014. In this particular portion, he is only talking about the fact that Rich Homie Quan thought that an individual named Tay shot Rich Homie Quan's father. This has nothing to do with the murder of Donovan Thomas. Okay. So this isn't him giving a version of facts as to the murder of Donovan Thomas. This portion has nothing to do with the crime of who killed Donovan Thomas on January 10th. What he is talking about is only to Corey Lamar, which is Rich Homie Quan's father. So this would not be relevant to the issue at hand, which is who killed Donovan Thomas.
Okay, so, let me also kind of just ask you to just address this as well, Mr. Steve. You have made this an issue of investigation. I mean, even though of how the police got there, Mr. Steele wants to challenge that particular issue of the investigation, which arguably he's entitled to do that.
Right. So the information that they got regarding the murder of Donovan Thomas is fair game, but they're not right now. They're getting information about what could potentially be a separate crime, which is not the investigation of Corey Lamar. That's what they're talking about in this section. Now, if he wants to talk about what Kenneth Copeland told them about the murder of Donovan Thomas and their investigation as related to the murder of Donovan Thomas, then he could talk about whatever they did in these interviews regarding whether or not they followed up, whether or not they got the information, they did nothing with it. But as it relates to this portion where he is talking about Rich Homie Quan, Corey Lamar, that has nothing to do with the death of Donovan Thomas. If there's anything else in this video where they're talking about what happened before with Donovan Thomas, then that's fair game, but not this portion right here.
All right.
And we don't know if this $25,000 is true or false. We don't know. So we don't know if it's impeachment because Rich Homie Quan has not testified in this case. So we don't know if this is true or false or not, or if it's impeachment at all. And if Mr. Steele on cross-examination goes into a line of questioning, that's something he may decide to do. But here, as the state's case, we're not going to inject any error in this case by playing a non-relevant portion regarding the death of Donovan Thomas, because this does not have anything to do with the death of Donovan Thomas, this section right here. Now, there's another section that he wants to talk about, but this section from 724:54 to where I stopped at 727:51 has nothing to do with Donovan Thomas.
This is Mr. Copeland, who is a huge witness, as the court knows, in this case. And he is lying, my word, to law enforcement about Rich Homie Quan conducting a murder for hire. The state wants to say, well, that's irrelevant because it's a murder for hire of a different person, Tay, T-A-Y. My point is, that is the witness. It is a false allegation against another human being to do a murder for hire. The state doesn't get to limit the cross-examination to what they want it to be. And it goes to the investigation of Detective Dennis, Detective Gaither, who the court has both found over objection to be experts. And they both talked about their investigation. And they both talked about how they went about their investigation without giving specifics or who they spoke with. I have no idea when they say, based upon our investigation, we learned the following. We learned this. I still rely on my constitutional right to have that information, but I don't have it. And this is a prime example that they get garbage. That's my position. Mr. Copeland may say it's absolutely true. The state was going to call Rich Homie Quan. His name's Mr. Lamar, L-A-M-A-R. I guess now they're not. I may call Mr. Rich Homie Quan after it comes out that, if I need to, that he put a killing on someone else. Mr. Copeland may say, yeah, I was lying to the police, which I have a good faith belief that he was lying to the police. So I need to show the jurors, and the jurors need to see, to collectively understand how the police are going about this investigation and who they're dealing with and who the witnesses are that are giving sworn testimony before the court. So I believe it all comes in.
Okay.
Your Honor.
So what can we expect next? Well, we're keeping an eye on the trial today to see if we will be back tomorrow. And if we are, we're definitely going to be live streaming it so that way you guys can keep track of everything. Also, guess what's available? What you mean merch? And then lastly, before we go, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Aura. Do you guys like robocalls? I don't. Do me a favor. Check out Aura, the sponsor of today's video. They help you protect your cybersecurity, all of your information. They combat robocalls, so you're going to want to check them out as well. Let us know what you think about the shenanigans so far. This is midweek and what's happening in court. And trust me, there's going to be a lot in store tomorrow as well as next week. Do me a favor, leave a comment under this video. Let me know what you guys think about the proceedings thus far. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.